Good morning and welcome, Picker Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Wednesday. And I'll just say this, it's buying day today, a pullback in gold and silver. Take it as an opportunity. Buy every one of these dips that you see. Make sure, I keep telling you, make sure you get in before election day. Something is getting ready to break. I don't know what is quite going on right now. The 10-year note continuing to be higher, 4.25%. You remember Tudor Jones yesterday warning about the Minsky moment coming to the bond market. We had T. Rowe Price saying, get ready for 5% on a 10-year. It's rate cutting cycles. Yet Canada today lowered rates by 50 basis points. It leaves you scratching your head and how safe are the banks? Market Watch, big article. Not nearly as safe as you think, and maybe more unsafe than they've been since before Dodd-Frank. Yeah, all that and so much more. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And you know what? Fernando died today. Fernando Venezuela died today. The Dodger, remember Fernando Mania of the 80s? He passed away. Of course, the Dodgers and the Yankees, they're getting ready to start I guess this is MLB, like when they were looking at the World Series, this is what they hope for every year, right? We want the Dodgers versus the Yankees every year. Taylor Swift type pricing going on. Yeah, no thanks. I'll just watch it on TV if I watch it at all. Speaking of watching, I haven't felt the great. I went bad, a little cold. So I went home early yesterday, and as normal, I guess my wife's a big Fox News. That's the station she watches, and I was too lazy to even change the channel, and I'm just watching and listening, and I'm just like, wow. I guess it really does matter what you listen to, I guess, because if you listen to Fox, Donald Trump has won the election, and it could be a landslide. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I didn't have I was too tired. I didn't go to CNN because I'm sure they're saying the thing on the other way. No wonder why people get crazy, Jason. Depending on where you get your news, you're just blown away. Like you can't impossibly fathom what's going to happen. But I loved Tudor Jones yesterday because he actually said, listen, kind of what I've been saying. Neither one of them is prepared, and nobody could be. I don't care who it was. Right? You could have, I don't know, whoever would be the best president of all time show up at the door, and they won't be prepared for what is coming. But a lot of people are now saying, Jason, the bond market is going nuts because they think Trump's going to win and inflation's going to come roaring back. Like somehow inflation wouldn't roar back if the other person won, right? I mean, either way. I think everybody kind of knows whoever the next person is, it's going to be a much different environment as the debt is really, I mean, that's all that anybody can talk about, really, when we look at what is happening with the amount of debt being issued. And, of course, we see what gold and silver have done. And we got the BRICS meeting. Kind of interesting, though, that they're now saying, you know what, I guess that would make sense. It's Donald Trump's fault that the bond market's rallying.
Yeah, Joe, it's the interest rates really do look like they're going to go higher, doesn't it? It's just, all the big money is saying higher interest rates. Nobody wants to buy U.S. debt because why would you buy it at this level when it might, just face it, what happens if it's 8 or 9 or 10% interest rates? It can happen. And what would happen to the American economy then, and gold and silver? It's just a crazy situation, Joe.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon has talked about this for a while, almost all of this year. And we'll see how all of it plays out. We did get some economic data. Like I said, this week wasn't a huge week of data. Tomorrow will be the biggest because we'll get jobless claims. We'll get a few other data points. Plus, it'll be we probably won't hear about the BRICS until later in the day. So we'll probably end up talking about what came out of the BRICS summit on Friday. But we did get existing home sales, and it wasn't good. Interest rates didn't cooperate. Declining another 1% in September. It declined 2% in August, 1% in September. They're down to 3.8 million homes. And here's the problem with it being this low is the worst months for home sales are still coming. Right, so the Thanksgiving holiday really starts from Halloween through the winter. Jason, we're probably gonna see existing home sales down in the 90s, the lower 90s. They're talking about inventory, a 4.3 month supply. By the way, they say 6 months is where they want to be, but here's the problem. That's the biggest number in over 4 years, so inventory starting to pile up. All-time record low of first-time home buyers. Yeah, nothing really good in the existing home sales number that was out today. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Wednesday. A quick look in at the markets. It's an ugly day so far. The Dow is down almost 400 points. The S&P is down 40. The NASDAQ's down almost 200. The 10-year note, as we said, 4.25 now. And I'll just say this, 430. We don't want to break 430. We'll see how we get there. Hopefully it stops there. I hope. Hopefully it stops now, but hopefully it doesn't go above 430. We'll continue to watch it. Oil's down as a big inventory build here in the U.S. We'll see. I don't know if it's a bad 5 million barrels. Seems kind of outrageous, but who knows, right? I don't know what's really happening in there right now. You got gold down 35. Add. Silver. This is it. You silver guys, we got silver down $1.30. We're going to see these big moves. We're going to see big moves. Buy every single one of them. And remember, I think this is, kind of not a lot of data. Plus, we won't hear from BRICS until late tomorrow and all these other things. Take advantage of it. By the way, the Japanese yen, we haven't talked about. Remember how, it was in trouble, then it kind of wasn't. Well, guess what? Trouble's back. 153 on the yen. And when we start talking about this, we don't know exactly how it's going to end, because it's always a little different, right? History repeats itself, but it's not exactly the same. But here's what we know. After these long durations of inverted yield curves, which we just came out of the longest ever, 3 to 6 months later, bad things happen. The previous longest ever was the Great Depression. What used to be second, now the third longest ever, the financial crisis. Before that, the 87 crash. See, all of these things, they're easy. They're easy. This is what happens. Why? Why did these happen? Because of horrible central banking policy. Well, you can't leave interest rates at zero for 15 years. You can't run trillion and now $2 trillion, soon to be $3 trillion budget deficits. You can't do it. That doesn't work. That's idiotic. And they do all these things. Oh, we're trying to save everybody. And they do things that they shouldn't do that lead to the boom and bust cycle that we're in. You all know it. You're not dumb. They want us to be dumb. Boy, they really do want us to be dumb, but we're not. Get more diversified here. You think that somebody like Goldman Sachs comes out and says, hey, by the way, you're only going to get 3% a year for the next 10 years after this year? What, do you think that makes people want to call them up on the phone? Inflation's more than that. Check out our friends over at Y-Refi. Why? Well, because you get up to 10.25% fixed rate of return. What does fixed rate mean? It means it doesn't change. Right? You know, oh, well, this happened, so now we got to change it. Or, well, Jay Powell did this. Or World War III that. BRICS de-dollarized. No, it doesn't change. Not correlated to the stock market. I think that's going to be a big theme over the next 5 to 10 years. Investments that aren't correlated to the stock market, like gold and silver, like Y-Refi. You can use it as income. You can turn it on. You can turn it off. You can compound it. You get to decide, which is cool. You can start by compounding and then say, hey, call them up. Hey, I want to change the income. Okay, great. What does that cost? Nothing. They don't attack principal. There's no fees. None of that stuff. Got to have a minimum of $50,000. But here's the great news. All of these people with big IRA money, call them up. Get diversified. You want a precious metals IRA? Call us. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Or just call them at 888-YREFI24, 888-973-3924. But Jason, there is a big article out on Market Watch today. And, of course, you got to pay for it to get it. But let me just give you the highlights of what they were talking about. And they were sitting there talking about, these banks aren't as safe as they've been made out to be. Could we have another Silicon Valley moment? And talking about what's really happening in unrealized losses. And now that this yield curve is doing what it's doing, Jason, the chances for more unrealized losses just got worse. Just made it worse. And even the Martin's Wall Street on Parade, there was a big study about how safe are the banks now that Dodd-Frank and, of course, all the other things that they've done to quote-unquote make the bank safer. Of course, what did they do by allegedly doing this? They just put the risk on the depositors. Right? They didn't make the banks any safer. They said they did, but they didn't. And they won't even, they know what they need to do to make them safer. They know that the bank's got to save a lot more money than what they are. Right? We can't let them loan out this much money. But, Jason, they went there. They were going to say, okay, we're going to make you increase your holdings by 20%. The banks cry, right? Jamie Dimon went, oh, we can't do that, and blah, blah, blah. And guess what? They folded. And now, according to the academia, the banks are less safe today than they were before Dodd-Frank.
Yeah, the unrealized losses, from what I understand, is greater than before the 2008 crash. Right? There's way more unrealized losses. You know, it's hard for me to ignore Warren Buffett's move away from Bank of America. Bank of America, from what I can tell, has silver shorts, and it's possible they moved into even more silver shorts 6 weeks ago. But what was the price of silver 6 weeks ago? And look what it's been doing, except for today, right? And Warren Buffett, which has a history of being involved in silver, is he literally liquidating his Bank of America? Is Bank of America going to be the next victim of when the music stops and there's not a chair for Bank of America to sit? Right? It just seems like silver going on a massive tear, and these markets getting ready to show a massive amount of weakness. It's all just sitting there. Every single number, Joe. Yeah, between the inverted yield curve, how being the longest one. You know, we haven't talked much about commercial real estate and how massively bad that is. I heard in many areas 51% of employees that were working in some of these big buildings have left their jobs a couple of years ago and never came back. 24% vacancies in all these commercial real estate buildings, Joe. And you talked about it before, and I did, how some of these strip malls are getting emptier and emptier by the day. All these things are spelling huge market turbulence, Joe. And if Russia really is weaponizing silver, get ready. Joe said all out buy on silver for a month or two, but I think now is actually an all-out buy for silver. I mean, it's very possible if we have another silver spike. We had it in 1980, didn't last very long, and then we had it in 2011. It lasted a little over a year, almost 2 years. Joe, both of those had a 10x rise in silver. If you'd look at the beginning of this, it'd be in $25 an ounce. A 10x rise in silver would be $250. It could happen in a year. In 1 year. Next year sometime, we could see $250 silver if the market movers of this world push it, right, Joe? Is Putin and Russia, are the BRICS going to weaponize silver? Are they going to push these banks that have all these shorts into oblivion? Never mind the fact that silver's not the only problem for the banks, right, Joe?
Yeah, when we're sitting here looking at it, I just tell people I am, believe me, at the lowest end of this, talking about $40, $50 silver. That's the lowest, and that would be like nirvana for the people that short silver. It's probably going to be significantly higher. I don't issue all-out buys very often, but this is an all-out buy. Yesterday, Silver Eagles were what, $835, $845? I think it was $845 a roll. I've got them on sale right now with this pullback that I think is only going to last a day. $815 a roll right now. Buy as many as you can, period. Buy as many as you can while you can. You want to buy gold? Tell you what we'll do on gold. I haven't even looked at gold because I've been so focused on what's going on in the silver markets. But I'll tell you what we'll do. This is going to be probably dumb, but I don't care. You need to get it put away. So what is 20? So I had to look at it. 29, 25. Tell you what I'll do. 28.95. 28.95 on $20 gold. 815 on U.S. Silver Eagle rolls at 800-951-0592. And I find it very interesting that as the bond market is doing what it's doing, and we're getting all of these billionaires warnings, Warren Buffett with Bank of America, Tudor Jones yesterday talking about a Minsky moment in the U.S. bond market, the T. Rowe Price, saying they expect the yields to be 5%. How? We're supposed to be cutting rates. Think about this. Rates are so much higher today than when the Fed was cutting. I mean, we're talking about getting ready to be the highest of the year in this rate-cutting cycle. Then a guy, Muhammad El-Arian, if you watch the idiot channels, he's on both. He's on Fox and CNBC like every single week. And he's talking about gold and what really is going on and how he's calling this a completely different environment for gold than he's ever seen in his lifetime, and talking about the Western, I guess, I don't know if he's talking about whether it's the banks, whether it's the Fed, whether it's the idiot channels, haven't figured it out yet. But the rest of the world no longer wants to hold dollars. Yeah, that tells you what you need to know. 800-951-0592. Put it away while you can. U.S. Silver Eagles on sale today, $815. That's $30 a roll less than yesterday. $20 gold piece. I'll be honest, I didn't see us being able to get here today, but below 2,900, 28.95 at 800-951-0592. By the way, retail bankruptcies, boy, it's just unrelenting. Looks like TGI Fridays is going to be the next, but restaurant bankruptcies piling up now as just any little hiccup in the consumer seems like pushes more and more of them over the edge. Polaris out with the one. So they're the ones, Polaris, they do the ATVs and things like that, saying that the consumer has stopped buying. L'Oreal, the cosmetics company, their earnings were bad. Coke said, hey, sales aren't great, but thankfully we had prices that were higher, so we still did okay. But the underlying thing, again, the consumer, no demand. But the thing to worry about, what is going on with this D-dollar? How real is it? And it looks like very real. Muhammad El-Arian, what's at stake here? It's not just the erosion of the dollar's dominant role. That's what's happening right now. It's eroding. I'm not saying it's an avalanche, but let's face it, we went from like 80%, we're now in the 50s. Yesterday we talked about foreigners not showing up at auctions, but a change in the operation of the global system. What is happening to the gold price is not just unusual in terms of traditional economic and financial influences. So it's like, hey, this isn't the gold market we all grew up in. It goes beyond geopolitical influence to capture a broader phenomenon which is building secular momentum. It's developing deeper and deeper roots, the risk materially fragmenting the global system and eroding the international influence of the dollar and the U.S. financial system. It will have an impact on the U.S.'s ability to influence outcomes and undermine national security, because he's talking about the debt markets. It's a phenomenon that Western governments should pay way more attention to, and it's one where there is still time to course correct, but not very much as some would hope. So there's still time, he says, for the U.S. to fix this. Jason, I think the time has passed. I think the time has passed, and unfortunately, today, Janet Yellen, what did she say today? We're ready to essentially take Russia's money and give it to Ukraine, that $50 billion. I think that's going to be the final nail in the coffin in all of this.
Lots of stuff going on. You were reading earlier in that moment there that it goes beyond geopolitical, but then of course it circles back around to the geopolitical, didn't it? So it's happening and on multiple layers. I don't know what happens if that's specifically done. I mean, does economic warfare become something more? You know, is there going to be escalation? Right? Is there escalation?
Yeah.
We'll see. The Ukraine situation is going to be changed after the election, one way or another. I don't know if it'll come to an end or if it'll elevate or what, but there'll be a change in that situation. And what you just mentioned, that could happen
I don't think
after
there
the
is.
election.
I think that's all sound bites, right? I wish Donald Trump could stop it. I really do. I don't think he can. I mean, the only way to stop it is to stop giving Ukraine weapons. That's it. It's the only way this thing comes to an end. We'll see how that goes. By the way, did you see? You know what? There's so many things to talk about. Did you see the latest in silver? And this is something where it pays to listen here, because I tell it to you, Jason and we tell it to you way earlier than the conventional media does. But they're talking about, there was an article coming out of Israel, of all places, suggesting that the military uses of silver may be greater than any other industry category, including electronics, solar panels, and or investment demand combined. What? I don't know about that, but Jason, here's the point. We've told you for a long time. The amount of silver that goes into these missiles, it's incredible. The amount. And now, we're every day, right? What is it? This many missiles and that many missiles and this many and that many. It is overwhelming. And, we used to have a silver stockpile. Let's not forget. Remember, Bill Clinton got rid of it. And now they're starting to speculate that defense contractors are now locked into a battle with all of these other companies, car makers, solar panel makers, to try to obtain silver to keep making all the bombs and the satellites and all of these things, Jason. It's absolutely incredible what they're highlighting here. I think we're going to see a silver squeeze the world's never seen before. I think this is coming. This is why I keep telling you, please, get in, get it put away. Don't wait for it to be 50, 60, 70, heck, even $100. Jason's not wrong about the 200 thing. I just can't get myself to go there yet, Jason.
Yeah, I was looking for I wish I could get names faster through my head, because there's so many guys I'm watching, and because it seems like everybody's saying the same story about what's going on in silver, but everybody seems to have one more piece of information, right, Joe? One more piece of evidence. And if Russia actually wants to make this part of their strategic holdings and makes it a monetary metal on top of an industrial metal,
right?
I mean, we'll talk more about it on the other side because there's a lot going on to the silver squeeze that you're talking about, Joe. I think it's been going on for decades, actually.
800-951-0592. By the way, insider selling, that's another one we need to look at. All of a sudden spiking as insiders continuing to sell here in the United States. Something big's going to happen. I don't know what it is. And I get frustrated when I can't figure it out. Something's getting ready to break. Canada going 50 basis points today, really weird. Because they've been doing the 25 thing, and it just seems very out of place. The 10-year note, then the Japanese yen, right? Way past one, just blowing the doors off of that 150 area. Something's amiss. We don't know what. I don't know if we already know. Do they know something about BRICS? Is it maybe they know something about what the Israelis are really going to do that is going to be shocking? I don't know. But I think Tudor Jones has it right. Whatever is going to happen after this election, Jason, I think things are going to change dramatically. I don't know if that's going to be when they've got to try to get a new budget. We know the Treasury needs refunding. There's so many different things that it could be. Right now, Lloyd Austin has confirmed now for the first time. We've heard the rumors about these North Korean troops inside of Russia. Today, the U.S. Defense Department confirming that North Korean troops are fighting alongside the Russians. South Korea now is starting to say, hey, we've got to do something about this. I mean, is this how World War III is going to start? I don't know, right? I mean, Jason, it's weird. That's all I can tell you is too many people are running for the exit, and too many people are yelling fire while they do it.
And we only know probably less than half of it, right? You know, what they're showing us on TV, that's what they want us to see. It only makes it on the TV if somebody wants you to see it. You know, you always find out 10 years or 20 years later what people were actually doing, what financial interests were doing. You don't find that out for 10 or 20 years. It was David Morgan I was talking about the last segment. He was the one talking about how the silver supply in the 1990s, and I forget the exact numbers, much higher than today. You know, we talk about silver demand is outstripping the amount pulled out of the ground per year for the last 4 or 5 years. But what he's talking about is, well, that's one way to look at a silver squeeze. But he says in the 1990s there was tons of silver, there was plenty of silver, and silver reflected that in the price. He says since the 1990s, slowly but surely, there's been less and less and less and less above ground silver. So, and I don't know how they calculate the numbers, Joe, is when someone buys it for financial reasons, you know, for economic reasons, is that not demand, right? Is that not industrial demand? Does that show how many people are actually buying silver? Is this silver squeeze being pushed by investor demand? And when Russia just steps up, it's like, well, we're going to use it. Doesn't it feel like Russia's possibly going to try to do a Hunt Brothers, Joe? I mean, a 2024, 2025 version. Are them and BRICS nations going to pull a Hunt Brothers on silver, and we're going to see a spike? You know, that's at least a 10x. I've seen guys say 100x.
Is this for a military reason? Right? Is Russia saying, "Hey, we got to buy and add silver"? Because we need it, because we know what's coming. I don't know. It is something is amiss. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know exactly what it is yet. We'll find out. It's kind of interesting that Market Watch, all of a sudden this morning, big article about bank runs again, and the amount of unrealized losses that the Federal Reserve is allowing these banks to play games, essentially to make it appear that they are much healthier than they are by, well, it's an unrealized loss, but we're going to hold it. We're not going to have to sell it. But if the need comes, which Market Watch is kind of indicating the need is going to come, that they're going to have to sell, and all of a sudden this dynamic can change very quickly. I don't know. The whole silver thing, though, we knew the squeeze was going to come, but now the squeeze, it feels like it's getting bigger because we've been talking about military use in silver for months and months and months. And now finally someone's put it out there to say, hey, do you know that the Defense Department, our Defense Department, isn't talking about how much silver that it's importing? And, of course, the United States, I think like 80-something% of all the silver we use is imported. Most of it coming from Mexico. And, of course, we know the problems in Mexico. Jason, this is, again, I think my guess is it's probably not one thing. It's probably multiple different things, multiple forces all at work, all at once. You know, a black swan event, a perfect storm, a Minsky moment, whatever cliche you want to use, Jason, we're on the doorstep of it right now.
Yeah, there's changes coming. I mean, just look at the silver and gold price this last year. It's basically screaming at you that things are getting ready to change big time. Yeah. The next false flag event, whatever that might be, it may be on its way, Joe. Might be here before the election, might be here after the election, because bankers do, central bankers do one thing. They don't want it to be pointed at when things go wrong, right, Joe? When things get really bad, when people are really, all the economic indicators are going down the toilet, Joe, that you've been pointing out. When they start coming in a serious way, they don't want anyone pointing at them, do they? They'll have something cooked up, won't they?
Right. We're here to help. How soon till quantitative easy? Maybe it's sooner than April like I thought. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Buy the pullbacks. Buy them hard right now. Gold's down 28. So off the lows here, 27.20. But squarely, you know what? Ever since it broke 27, squarely above 2,700. This is the fourth day in a row here. But $20 gold pieces, $2,895. That's what we were 50. I think $50 less than yesterday. Jump on them. Silver. Oh, look, here he comes already. I'm gonna regret this, but I'm gonna go as long as I can. Now it's only down $1. 33.80 was at 33.50 about 5 minutes ago. Rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles, $815. Buy every ounce you can at 800-951-0592. Put it away. This is one of those things. Listen, it can't be a straight line, right? It can't be a straight, because they use these, it's overbought or this or that. Just reasons for them to take some profits. Today was just a profit-taking day. Nothing more, nothing less. Jump on it. And save yourself a bunch of money. $50 difference on $20 gold pieces today. Was a $30 difference on Silver Eagle rolls today? Come on. That's when you want to get it here. 800-951-0592. And Jason, I guess we'll wait. We'll see what jobless claims tomorrow. I think all eyes are on bricks. All eyes are on bricks. What's going to come out of it? We'll wait and see. And then, of course, remember, right, if it's going to happen, they say before the election, are we going to see an Israeli-Iran thing? I don't know. Of course, we talked about North Korea. Now we're admitting that North Korean troops are now in Russia. I don't know if they're in Ukraine yet, but they're in Russia now. So is that going to escalate? Man, just too many things. 800-951-0592. And something else, I want to bring this up because I don't think it'll surprise anybody. You know our food stamp program, SNAP? Right, 40-some million Americans on it. Almost 26% of it goes to Walmart. And a whopping 94% of SNAP recipients said that they shop at Walmart. They make up the biggest piece of that, followed by Kroger, the next highest one. But, yeah, Walmart and the government pretty tight, Jason, right? You know, the more people on food stamps, I guess the better Walmart does.
Unfortunately, yeah, I'm not against large corporations or rich individuals, but when they gain power by being supported by the federal government, and the federal government gains power by being in bed with the corporations, it becomes not good for the average guy, right, Joe? You know, if you're not a part of the political sphere or the mega huge banking / corporate sphere, you are not a part of the big club, right, Joe? And that's why you got to take care of yourself as best you can, right?
Amen to that. Buy today. Buy from the dips, on the dips, 800-951-0592. Jason and I, we got Chris Lewis on the half-empty cup, so it's going to be a good one. Stay with us.